they say that based off their actions, the valued experiences are the ones that are felt and experienced along the way. And overwhelmingly, I've heard the opinion of, if I just documented more of it. That's what I'm doing right now. Accountability. Speaking into this for me to watch it again, to hear the things that I already believe. Keep your mouth shut until you're done. Meaning, don't speak on lessons you don't know anything about. And for the things that you do know, have courage to share it if you do know. Have enough self-belief of value that you give that back to the world with full confidence that, one, giving is for yourself, and two, every fruit gotta have some real showing of good harvest, because at the end of the day, fruit that's grown and died without use, it just gets no taste. It's waste. What's the point of making all this fruit if you ain't gonna share it? And that being said, I believe that I am doing myself a favor by sharing the fruits of knowledge that I learn. And there is enough conviction in me to share without an ego of worrying about outside opinions as much as I used to, because in the same imagery, the feeling of my fruit getting rotten without use is a strong enough feeling that has factored into my childlike yet pondering, honest moments, days, months, years of saying why. And I stopped saying why, and I just started operating here's what I really want to share today. I have realized the difference between seeking validation and seeking to be understood. As we know, when you do something with good intentions, no matter what you intend, people will perceive it positively or negatively. So in the idea of seeking to be validated and seeking to be understood. I believe it's the same action. And I heighten my voice with that because I am shocked that I did not make this connection before. There was a time I was seeking validation, but there was a longer time where I was seeking to be understood. So much so, it was apparent in the actions of how I would get frustrated with my wife. I would get over-analyzing when a boss tells me something what to do. I would get super frustrated with my disconnect with the things that I am forcing to operate with versus how effective I can be with that, my ability to focus on what I'm doing. And as many things can stem from how you develop yourself as a human being growing up, I have a resounding message that really I see now the value of having a father in your life, and also a father that has the values that a father should have, and saying it straight. As I respect people, I believe the values of that was from the Bible, from father stuff. I respect, there's my aversion is like the modern psychologist with the Buddhist religion. They have very good insight on being the present of today, and a lot of other religions have very meditate, be in the moment, but be aware and be considerate of others. All good information to take in. What I'm trying to express is, on that little trail, side quest of information, lean into that and be comforted by it. Because what you will be experiencing is a whole lot of, I'm unsure the outcome, but when you trust, in general, when you trust the thing that you believe can pull you through when you don't understand what you're pulling through to, there's a level of peace and calmness that you can maintain, and that gives you enough focus to continue developing yourself, to continue to do things that the body naturally would want to protect themselves from. We don't like change. Some of us are wired in a way where we do like change in the products that we make, the fruit that we bear, but we don't like being pruned. I laugh because every single time I have this moment where what has been motivating me, other than my responsibility to speak unto myself and speak unto my kids and to serve the world in the way I know how, which is words. I don't rush the message. In my head, it's just one dot on the graph, and I just want to tell you that. But there's so much emotion, life experiences, that when I try to express and speak to what that plot on the graph is, the dot, the whatever, I experience every emotion that I've felt throughout my life just to tell you this. And if that's the price that wisdom charges, then I'll pay that any day. Naturally, being impatient, I can see now in the past of how I would not want to share that information because it just takes so long to come out. I was talking about the positive and the negative. As I started getting positive, reframing my mind, reframing my vision to scenarios that I experience, everything is a result of my actions. But that being said, if you don't fail, you don't learn. And if you don't allow yourself to fail, you will never fail. It's okay to be hurt. It's not okay to be defeated. But we do. This is where courage really comes in and sets. This is where the driving force, that faith in spiritual values, melt in. This is the same actions like when you were seeking to be validated. But anything that's not talked about enough, anything that's not studied enough, if you don't know what the flu is and you get sick with the flu, you could think that you're dying. And if you don't treat the flu, you could. That's what I'm saying. But not many people die from the flu nowadays. We know about it. I'm sharing information and knowing about the value of seeking to be understood. Not even I have seen people lose courage as they're in the process of seeking to be understood. Why do they lose courage? Because one, they didn't understand what was driving them to do that. And then two, they got hurt enough times where they allowed themselves to be fully defeated and not bounce back when the outside world couldn't understand. Seeking to be understood it won't give anything to the world because you will not be effectively articulating your message for the world to understand. You will not make those critical minor adjustments for the ear to fully hear and for the heart to fully listen. You will not do it correctly. As much as you think you will, you won't. Seeking to be understood. Frustratingly explaining in repetition and different methods with your spouse on what you believe the overly analysis paralysis, critically delayed products delivered for what the boss was asking, and the blindness to just do anything from what boss be say if it does not fully align with the beliefs that you hold as solid core driving forces, your mojo that makes the things that you touch, the things that you put your effort to, good in your eyes. Seeking to be understood, as you can hear, blocks you from outside feedback as much as you think that you are listening and hearing. You are, but it's not the top priority. Seeking to be understood requires a lot of quiet time so that you can allow yourself to be understood, because the true matter, the true thing, two occurrences: somebody else that is not you has the most similar experiences that you can feel, that led to them having a similar outlook and belief that you have, formed by that experience that they felt or you felt. There's just that common ground, and you both sit on that common ground and essentially grow something from that. The other side to actually effectively being understood, the other person is you. Because no one I lied, not no one. Very, very, very few people have gone through the same experience and also had the same outcome. Now that's just the start of it for both people, but at the end of it is, are you going to use that? Are you going to accept that failure to actually fail? Because the failure will help you learn. What that understanding does makes you feel safe. When you feel safe, you give your soul, your mind, and your functioning brain the bandwidth needed, the capacity required to effectively intake all that stimulus, all that information, all of that experience, and then internalize it in your being, understand it, and bear fruit. If we don't do these things for ourselves, with those people and with ourselves, what happens is everything that you do until you answer that priority is just seconds. You're giving sloppy seconds with everything that you do. And you don't even unaware of it, blind. You don't have to be philosophical, spiritual, super theory, trophy oriented. What I'm trying to tell you is it doesn't matter what fucking box you are. If you don't fulfill that first priority in you, as it could be worded in different ways, right? I'm just using the wording, seeking to be understood. When you don't fill that first box that you care about, your ego will overcompensate your blindness because your body is still trying to overcorrect, maybe, to fill that gap, that void from that lack of understanding. And people usually fill gap void. Bad vices. Like I'm looking at a fool looking for cigarette butts. It could be even good things. Working hard, building a product, but you're not actually understanding what you're needing. And then you go down that rabbit fucking hole of what I want and what I need, and you don't know what you want and what you need. And I'm talking, you know exactly what I'm saying. Even if it's older folks, there is no one right answer. That the idea of freedom was not having the fucking luxury items or having the luxury items. In both scenarios, the people who you really believe is the people who really believe in their decision. Like undeniable. There's levels to people telling the truth. There's really levels to people who are honest with themselves. You bounce between that information, intellectual knowledge, and then the also emotional experiencing, feeling knowledge. And they both work in tandem. It's kind of cool because we live by a Korean restaurant, and when they're barbecuing, man, I can't afford that meat, but what did they say? Pause. That's crazy. But anyways, smells good. I dare you as I dare myself. Anything I dare want to dare myself. Change the habit of blindly doing things. Be aware if you're just trying to be understood, or if you're actually just doing what you understand. Big difference. I dare you to do what you understand. Have a capacity to learn more. Act on that openness to learn more. Apply it and bear good fucking fruit. If I can make connections with ideas, things, ways of life, actual scenarios in the world, if I can really do that, and I believe I've done that many, many times in conversations that I have spent hours with people on the spot, against my schedule, against where I'm against myself because I just don't know. The box that I valued so much was to be understood. Because once I got something, once I knew who I was and what I am and what I have learned, I, in a bad schedule, was trying to harvest my fruit all the time, even sometimes before it was realized. I was trying to harvest my fruit 24/7. And the problem when you do that at the wrong time, when people try to harvest wrong time, it hurts the branches. It hurts, it's harder actually to grab, right? It's not fully ripe, thereby it's more stuck onto the plant. There is all these kind of things that go against, but if you allow people to bear and not lay a protection around your vineyard, your garden, as it whatever it may be, the deers will take it. Whatever it is, it will be taken if you allow. And the worst part, because you haven't seen what you can actually do, you can fall into a pit of never doing what you actually believe. Because you never knew what you believe. Test your limits. Test your limits. On my heart, that's all I got. Thank you, Target mug. Costing under $2. Saying trying my best.